Hello, my name is Katy Seib, and today's leadership presentation examines Anthony McCartan's film, The Two Popes. This movie depicts the commentary between two leaders among the Catholic Church, Pope Jose Ratzinger and his successor, Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio. Throughout this movie, both men revisit their pasts, obtain new insight, and ultimately merge together a common goal as the leaders for a successful future of the Catholic Church. Their leadership styles will be examined to depict how leadership does evolve over time and is ultimately a learned process by referencing terminology and examples within Peter Northhouse's 9th edition Leadership and Simon Sinek's Find Your Why. McCartan's movie begins setting the tone for the movie with the Catholic Church followers receiving word of the death of Pope John Paul II. The followers demonstrate their respect for the deceased pope by signing the cross on their bodies. From this point on, the followers then proceed to gather outside of the Vatican to await the announcement of the anointment of the new pope, exemplifying their devotion to the leadership of the Catholic Church. After the first scrutiny, the audience meets Jose Ratzinger and Jorge Bergoglio. After the first scrutiny, the audience meets Jose Ratzinger and Jorge Bergoglio. Ratzinger demonstrates three of Northhouse's leadership traits of self-confidence, determination, and sociability when he speaks with the other leaders to market his candidacy of becoming pope. On the other side of the room, the audience examines Jorge Bergoglio attempting to influence the other leaders to vote for another candidate over himself for the greater goal. Through the anointment of Ratzinger, some of the Catholic followers were heard stating that this decision exemplifies the unity of the Church by choosing an intelligent, sharp-minded leader for their community. As the movie progresses, we learn that Ratzinger had heard the word of God from a very young age and chose to spend his time in his studies learning the values and systems of the order of the Church. His authoritarian leadership style demonstrates his belief that the Church should be structured and upheld to the traditions of the community. He believes a communion should only be used to heal the virtuous sinners, and that there is only one true, unchanging truth. His perception of a Catholic leader is one who upholds the traditions and is seen when he lives a life of seclusion at the Vatican, and also when he chooses to wear the traditional shoes, jewelry, and red robe during the inauguration. Jorge Bergoglio, on the other hand, believes the success of the Church lies in a transformational succession. He mentions his belief that God continues to move and grow, and that the Church shall do the same. Under this mentality, Bergoglio takes the perception that he no longer wants to be a part of a stagnant leadership and takes the opportunity to request his approval of resignation as a cardinal. This creates dilemma between the Pope and the Cardinal for success of the Church. Ratzinger announces if the Cardinal were to resign, then it would present an opportunity for the followers to feel a divide among the leaders and ultimately be seen as a method of protest towards the leadership. Ratzinger questions the quote to Bergoglio, "Do shepherds run away when wolves appear? Do you want to abandon the Church when in need?" he mentions the cardinal already lives a dishonest Catholic by walking the streets of the people, cooking food with them, wearing the wrong kind of shoes, and giving communion to the sinners. He attests his insecurity as a leader when he mentions Bergoglio's popularity and charisma with the followers through being eloquent and dynamic. On the contrary, Bergoglio uses this opportunity to express his opinion that the Church and God are not stationary and must continue to move forward to be successful. His examples of this mindset include that there were no mention of angels until the 5th century, and that priests and religious leaders were not expected to practice celibacy until the 12th century. He expresses that the Church is currently stationary and not connected to the people or the world, and therefore only moves in a narcissistic way. This brings forth another posed dilemma within the Church. When he expresses this movement is seen when the Church chooses to, as he quotes, destroy the lives of 9 rather than the faith of 9 million by moving priests, bishops, and leaders within the Church who prey on children and molestation, and move them from one parish to another, and then some. This dilemma within the Church, as Bergoglio brings to light, would rather protect a scandal and hear the confessions, rather than remove the priests immediately and hold a trial for them. As Bergoglio quotes, "Confession cleans the soul, it does not help the victim. Sin is a wound, not a stain. It needs to be healed, to be treated. Forgiveness is not enough." In response, Ratzinger announces that he too was a part of this dilemma, ultimately chose to follow this path, dismissing the incriminating evidence he was presented regarding leaders whom had preyed on the youth. As he begins to listen to Bergoglio, he mentions he no longer hears the Lord's voice. He references a candle that he put out after a prayer. Rather than the smoke from the flame rising upward, it went straight down, as if his offering were being rejected by God. Ratzinger begins a transformational journey as a leader and suggests that Bergoglio is the change the Church needs, as he exemplifies a lead and serve style. Through his insecurities about his past, Bergoglio denies this. His past contains a background of standing down during a dictatorship and agreeing to a verbal contract to assist in getting rid of the Marxist books in an attempt to keep his followers safe. Unfortunately, this attempt led to the deaths of many priests and nuns, including his friends. They were taken during this dictatorship, beaten, killed, and tossed out of planes for the pursuance of their beliefs. After the dictatorship fell, the order was turned against Bergoglio, and he was sent to live in the mountains and was stripped of all authoritarian power. While in the mountains, he learned to live among the people and began to discover Sinek's terminology of discovering his why or his purpose. Through this transformational leadership journey, Bergoglio exemplifies a coaching style by listening to the confessions of the sinners regarding homosexuality, fraud, sexual desire, scandal, depression, and more. It was during this time that he discovered that priests were the same as the followers. While being an authentic leader, he expresses during a brief sermon to his followers that leadership is similar to a TV with an antenna. Sometimes the signal is strong and direct. Other times the connection is poor and we say, well, at least we tried. By demonstrating authenticity, he discovers his purpose in which he wants to work together with the people to learn from them and to ultimately go forth in the pursuance of equality and liberation. Throughout listening to each other's leadership fails and strengths, Bergoglio and Ratzinger are able to merge together a common goal for the success of the church, which is that it needs to continue to go forth with the people, which aligns with North House's 4 leadership components. Ratzinger ends the conversation, stating that he was unable to hear the Lord's voice, but in the last few days has heard it again through the words and wisdom of Bergoglio, representing his ultimate transformation from an authoritarian leader. The two rejoice over a meal of pizza and soda of the people and embrace one another. Towards the end of the movie, Ratzinger is seen stepping down as Pope to make way for Bergoglio to lead the church in a succession as he is unable to lead it further. During his inauguration, Bergoglio is seen stepping away from the stagnant traditional wear and chooses to begin the movement of change in the church by choosing to be his authentic self as he is anointed. The two popes exemplify how leadership is a process and involves influence over others in order of reaching common goals to move forth in a successful leadership. There is no one set style of leadership that works best for all, and must continue to be a method of acquiring new insight and trial. Thank you for hearing my presentation. Have a good day.